Hi, I'm David, and this is. Shh.
Phew! Well, we dodged a bullet there. But it's okay, there's a waterfall behind us, so now we can talk.
Oh, good. All right.
I'm Joe, this is David, and this is our review of A Quiet Place. Okay, so A Quiet Place stars John Krasinski and Emily Blunt, and is about a world where you can't make any noise, or these creatures will hunt you down and kill you. And that's it. That's the premise of the movie.
So we follow one family as they try not to make any noise. The movie is so quiet that even when you're sitting in the theater, you almost don't want to take a bite of your popcorn because, I mean, you can hear every crunch. Like, even people in the back, like way behind me in the back row, I can hear them go. Like,
yeah, and you don't want to cough or anything because then that happens. And everybody is making the same joke. As soon as somebody coughs or anything, you're like, oh,
that's it.
that guy's dead.
It's over. Yeah. But then, this is one of the. This is one movie where it actually tell people maybe don't bring snacks or anything, and just eat before or after, and just go in with nothing. Because the whole time I was trying to eat a bag of M&Ms, and I was sitting there, and I would have to wait till some noise would happen, and then I'd try to eat one real quick, and then the noise would stop, and then I'd have to chew it and go.
Yeah.
It'd be so loud.
And I think that's something the movie does really well. Is there's no talking for the most part, and they have to. Well, John Krasinski he directs this movie, not only stars in it, and he has to, show tension without any noise at all, and he conveys that really well. He conveys their fear, and it reflects to the audience too. That they shouldn't make noise. You're worried about them the whole time. You're you guys better not make noise, and you're like, I better not make noise. I'm gonna get them killed.
He definitely uses it as a tool to build tension. In almost every scene. And this is a great example of how you can create suspense without any dialogue, or at least very little dialogue. There's not a lot of speaking, and the characters, just by watching them try not to make any noise, it kind of puts you on the edge of your seat a little. And then if you see something happen that's going to be noisy, you hold your breath for a second and wait for it to pass and see what happens.
Yeah, it's kind of like sneaking out of your house when you're going to a hotel party. Your parents are in the other room sleeping, can't make any noise. As soon as that one noise comes out,
that exact thing. A Quiet Place is a thriller, obviously.
Yeah, I think it's under horror, sci-fi is what it has it under, on the IMDb.
There's definitely some sci-fi elements to it.
Yeah.
But how effective is it as a thriller? I would say...
As a thriller, I would say it's very effective. Yeah,
it totally has you on the edge of your seat. I know I went with my girlfriend, and the entire time she was squeezing my arm so hard that my fingers started going numb because she was so tense. So I think it totally does its job.
Yeah, and there are there's some scares in this movie. There are definitely jump scares in this movie that got the audience that I saw it with screaming at certain parts, during tense or scary moments. If I had any gripes, which I did love this movie, but if I had to, say something about it, I think the jump scares, there were a little too many for me. As soon as they used a couple of them, I kind of was hoping they wouldn't use any more. I was like, okay, well, maybe let's lay off the jump scares, and they didn't.
I don't know, I didn't really have too much of a problem with the jump scares because at least it wasn't done in a cheesy way. With a lot of you see a lot of low budget thrillers or horror movies have the corny jump scare where something will pop up and it'll be like, oh man, and then it will just be their friend or something funny, and all the tension's gone.
The local cop in the bathroom taking a shit.
Yeah, something funny or out of place. But this one, the jump scare happens, but then they're still in the fucked up situation. They still have that, oh no, there's still something worse can still happen after that. And so they're still being hunted, and the danger's still there. So you're still in that situation. That's why I didn't really have a problem with it.
Yeah, I also felt the movie was a little too predictable. At least for me, not everybody is gonna watch the movie in that way and try to predict the endings or the outcomes of each scene. But that's just how I viewed the movie while I was watching it. I couldn't help myself in certain scenes. I found myself in my head trying to predict what was going to happen. And I do that with some movies, not all, but in this one I sat there going, okay, well, I think this is going to happen. Oh, it did. It did in that exact way I thought it was going to happen. But and that's just a small.
I think for me, one gripe would be that there's just a very specific situation, and I don't want to spoil anything, so I'll try to be as vague as I can, but they have kids. They have a various amount of kids of various ages, and one kid does something really uncharacteristic of a child of that age. And in a situation where something happens, and I'm like, wait, that doesn't make sense. And but without spoiling, it was just kind of like one little weird thing. Other than that, just a personal gripe, I don't really like whatever is after them is CGI. And I'm not a fan of that. I'd much rather see a human actor with makeup or, practical effects.
Yeah.
Those always, to me, they look much better, feel much better. Because this one, it's like really serious, intense, and then CGI, and it's like,
Yeah, see, I didn't have a problem with the CGI, but I did notice it, like, as soon as you see it firsthand, and I go, okay, I noticed, I was like, so that's the thing. They show you the thing that's after them, and I go, okay, well, that's fine. But I wasn't like, oh, that's awesome, this thing that's after them, that's really cool.
You definitely don't sit there and go, oh, wow, that's cool. Like,
that's really awesome. And
you see it and you go, I mean, they're still bad, they gotta run. Definitely.
No, it's a bad thing, but I wasn't like, oh, that's an awesome thing. But I also wasn't like, I hate that. That's...
for me, I think it bothered me a little more.
Okay, so the acting in the movie by John Krasinski and Emily Blunt was great. They have great chemistry. They're also married in real life, and they're married in this movie, and I thought it worked really well. Sometimes that's an easy route to take.
Yeah, I mean, they had the chemistry was clearly there.
Yeah, it's there from the beginning.
Yeah, there's not a lot of characters in this movie, but there was no bad performances, for sure. No. Even the kids, they all nailed it. They did their job. Yeah. There's never a moment where it was like, takes you out of the action, like, oh man, a bad child actor or anything.
Yeah, which was great, because I'm just saying that's definitely something that needs to be addressed, because if they had bad kid actors, that could ruin the movie. Yeah. When you're watching it, you're like, oh, this movie's good, but the kid actors, man, like, and, you try to give them a pass because they're kids, but then in some movies you're just like,
when you have a movie when there's only 4 or 5 characters in the movie, you really need the kids to have a great performance. Yeah. And they did. And then I like the writing. It seems like it's a very efficient movie. It's only about an hour and a half. It goes by quick, and there's no wasted scene. There's not one scene that will go by and you're like, they could have cut that, or they could have trimmed this. No, it's a very lean movie. There's so little noise that when it does happen, and
it almost takes you off guard in a good way. Yeah. Like, there's no sound, and the sound will hit, and you're like, whoa. Like,
every once in a while, you see from the point of view of a deaf girl, and she's,
who's also deaf in real life, by the way.
And then, so when you see things from her point of view, all the sound cuts out, and then you go back to the other character, and it's a good tool to see kind of whose eyes you're really looking through. Even in a scene with multiple people and multiple perspectives, it could still throw you in each one.
Because when the movie does go into that switch, you feel almost worse, because you're watching it and it's like you're an outsider looking in. But when it switches and all the sound is off and you're following this deaf girl, you're like, this would suck. This would suck a lot. Yeah. So these creatures that are after them can only hear them. And when you have a character who can't hear herself, like, she doesn't know when she's making noise. I mean, you know when you're making noise, but she has to be extra careful. And you just get into that mindset. And I was thinking in the theater, like, I would fucking hate that. Yeah. Because these creatures are listening at all times for me to make a noise, and I can't hear. So you have to be extra careful, and it leads to some pretty cool moments.
Definitely.
I think I would rate A Quiet Place a 5 out of 6. I thought it was above average. It was a really good time. It was surprising. I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. I could kind of compare it to a movie like Get Out, which gave me sort of the same feeling. I did think this was a little better than Get Out, but...
Yeah. Okay. I think I'm gonna have to give it a 5 out of 6 also, just because it was so good, and I mean, I think just a little. If it was just a little better, I would give it a 6 out of 6.
Yeah.
But it's not quite legendary, but it was still a great fucking movie, and you should totally go out and see it.
Yeah, definitely go see it in the theater, because even though I know you're thinking there's no sound, so I can wait till it's at home, but it really adds to the experience, because you got to be quiet too.
Yeah.
And that's a good way to watch it. Don't watch it at home when you can make noise.
Yeah,
I feel like that'll
totally ruin the effect.
Yeah, because I think the first time watching this movie, if you can talk to people in the room, it's gonna
because then you don't share that tension.
Exactly. So it's gonna kind of dumb down the experience. So go check it out in theaters. Yeah. Personal tip. But yeah,
all right. Well, that's our review of A Quiet Place. Let us know what you think in the comments below.
Because these things only can hear you. They're deaf. Or not deaf. Yeah. These things can only see you. So
Strike 2.
Can only see you. Yeah. So these things are blind. You know when I said it, like,
they can only smell
they
you.
can only smell me. Oh no.
They can only smell your sound.
So these creatures that are after them